Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel. I don't know about you lot, but I feel absolutely brilliant today. Chelsea won last night, 6-1 against Middlesborough in the Carabao Cup semi-final, second leg. If you want to watch my match review, I will leave a link in the description to 6 things we learned. As well as that, I've had to make a new channel for the travel videos, Georgie and George, just a couple of G's we've named the channel. The link to that is also in the description. I want to talk a little bit today about 2 news stories regarding certain strikers, Karim Benzema and Victor Osimhen. But before I do that, I want to speak about a couple of things that I maybe didn't give any attention to or didn't give enough attention to in my 6 things we learned video. There are 2 things that I want to discuss here today. And the first one is the issues. I'm going to start with the negatives about the Chelsea win last night against Middlesbrough, because despite there being some very good performances from virtually everybody, in terms of the way that the team played, I thought Chelsea were excellent. I think it is the most aggressive that we've looked in terms of creating opportunities, being on the front foot, suffocating Middlesbrough players to ensure that they didn't have any time on the ball. We're playing with confidence. But 2 players out there last night were, for me, absolutely on a different level to anybody else. And when I say a different level, unfortunately, I'm talking about down. I'm talking about not being as good as everybody else. And those 2 players are Broja and Mudryk. And I know that it's a bit like Benson, we've just won 6-1. Can't you just let us enjoy the 6-1? I don't want to talk too much here about this one, but I've got an opinion about both Broja and Mudryk that I would love to hear your thoughts on in the comments down below. And I don't think we're going to see, I'm going to give the Mudryk take first here, and I genuinely believe this. This isn't me trying to clickbait or get some reactions. I do want to know what you have to say, but I do think Mudryk's going to need a loan. And I know it's not a good idea right now because we've got so many injuries. Christopher Nkunku isn't fit. Noni Madueke was doing this a lot with his shoulder, wondering if he'd popped something, I don't know. Raheem Sterling's been out of form. And overall, Chelsea don't really have the capacity within the squad to loan out Mudryk right now. But I think next season, if we don't see a massive spike from Mudryk between now and the end of the season, I think Chelsea should loan him. I think there is such a raw talent in there that when I see him at Chelsea, it feels as though he's in such a rush to make something blistering, blinding, crazy. He's basically, you go to a fireworks display and they save the big rocket that has the biggest bang till the end. And in the meantime, you've got all these little ones that are and last night, Chelsea managed that. Chelsea managed to light a load of fireworks, and then we had the crescendo, which is the scoreline at the end. I think Mudryk is trying to be that rocket at the end of a firework display every minute that he's on the field. And then, when it doesn't happen straight away, he then stops completely. To me, it's almost as if there's an identity crisis with Mudryk on the football field. And I think a loan move away would absolutely help him. Towards the end, before he came off, in the minutes that he actually got, it's why is it defenders that are the ones bursting into the box? Where are you? Do you know what I mean? And I'm worried for Mudryk. I think he's just so lost and missing too often in games. I think there could be a loan move. And Broja, I think it might be time to go. I don't think he is that striker that Chelsea need, and I don't think he's good enough. That is just my 2 opinions. I know obviously we don't want to be reveling in negativity, but this is a channel where I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. But because we won 6-1, I didn't talk about those 2 in the 6 things we learned last night. But the real positive here that kind of allowed for everything on the pitch to kind of flow and tick was Ben Chilwell's return. Now, we've seen this season, Pochettino has loved to put Levi Colwill at left back. Maybe he doesn't love putting Levi Colwill there, but he's kind of been forced to do so due to all of the injuries to Gusto, James, Cucurella. And that's ruined the shape of Chelsea this season. So often, what we see is side-to-side passing. We're trying to stretch the play, but then there's such massive gaps that we just get shut down. can't find the right man, can't be decisive, and we don't move forward often enough. What Ben Chilwell did last night, which enabled there to be this big gap between Caicedo and Enzo and Cole Palmer, who was one of the other midfield three. Palmer and Enzo were advanced. Caicedo was protecting that back line, but he was also protected centrally by having Colwill there as a centre-back who's able to drive forward, but also having Ben Chilwell as a left-back being able to come inside, both going forward and also on the transition when Chelsea are defending. Ben Chilwell brings so much balance to this Chelsea team that I actually think, as a result of that last night, as much as you guys know I love Conor Gallagher, I think even though it's Middlesbrough, they're a championship side, we got Villa at the weekend, totally different story. Maybe Gallagher was rested for Villa. But I would say this, the shape with Caicedo there, with Palmer and Enzo advanced, with Chilwell and Colwill kind of stepping into that defensive midfield role on the front foot, how much quicker were we at getting the ball, winning it, not doing all of this side-to-side slow build-up stuff, and actually making decisive, incisive passes in the final third. Lots of questions to be asked here, and I'm not just writing off Conor Gallagher at all, but I do think a midfield three of Enzo, Caicedo and Palmer actually makes us better going forward. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments down below. And the reason I think Gallagher was so good in that cameo that we saw of him at the end, where he gets himself 2 assists, is because Gallagher's not a player that's going to unlock oppositions. Gallagher's a player who, when the opposition have kind of like retreated already, Middlesbrough already knew their fate come half time. So the game was open. Gallagher was able to be decisive in the final third because there weren't 9-10 players camping around the box. So when you've got Enzo and Palmer, who are a bit more creative, able to be creative, maybe Gallagher could be off the bench, that player, when Chelsea have unlocked oppositions who can come on and hurt with the quality that he's got. Thoughts on this in the comments down below. I want to go into a bit more detail on Gallagher and on this win as well, because yes, it's Middlesbrough, but still, they beat us in the first leg, but we were so good last night. We were brilliant, 6-1. There's a lot of things that need to be looked at here, and well, how do we replicate this? Why was that so good? And I think a lot of it is the Chilwell and the shape and how that enables Palmer, Enzo to be more advanced, to give Chelsea more potential to unlock those defenders. So we now move to discuss the striker, because I've said I don't think Armando Broja is it. In a Chelsea team performance that looks good, individually again, I think Armando Broja was poor in that match last night. So here is the latest on Karim Benzema. Karim Benzema has now asked Al Ittihad if he can explore a loan, but the Saudi champions still want to keep him. Major reluctance for a mid-season exit from senior PIF and Ministry of Sport figures. Benzema's late arrival back to mid-season training didn't go down well, and if anything has hardened the club's stance on entertaining any departure. John Texter is keen on Benzema returning to Lyon, but it's not possible without a substantial do you know what? Bugger all of this stuff, mate. You ain't going back to Lyon. All right? I honestly think when you look at the way Chelsea played last night, if we're not going to get our top targets in this January transfer window because it's difficult in the middle of a January, in the middle of a season, Benzema on loan, if you add Benzema last night, we could have had 10 goals. If Chelsea had a striker that's playing with confidence and is a better finisher, then I think last night we could have had 10. And this isn't just a let's just shove Armando Broja under the bus day. Look, I think Armando Broja could be a good striker. The man's just not playing with any confidence, and he doesn't look like he's it in this Chelsea team. Somewhere else, I think he could thrive. This Chelsea team, I really think, when you look at the way we can play, when we turn up, when we show up, which has been not very often this season, but we did last night, I think we are just a couple of players from actually being a really potentially good side if we can keep consistent. So Benzema on loan is still an option at this point in time. Chelsea have registered their interest in signing the 36-year-old. This comes from The Guardian. And then, in terms of that long-term striker target, it's only fair here that we round this up by talking about the latest Victor Osimhen interview. I have already made my decision on the next step to do at the end of the season. I already made up my mind. I already have a plan. I know what I want to do, the next step I want to take. Now, this is pure and simply confirmation that he is 100% leaving Napoli at the end of this season. There's no point whatsoever in signing a new contract and then keep on doing these little communicative interviews with big footballing journalists, Fabrizio Romano, to discuss anything other than, well, I'm going to be leaving Napoli, mate. Do you know what I mean? So, I think the flirting with the Premier League means that we're now probably narrowed down to 3 options here as to where Osimhen's going to go. Man United, potentially, Arsenal and Chelsea. And I really hope it's Chelsea. At the moment, there is no sign that it would be Chelsea or would be Arsenal or whatever. The fact that no one's going for Ivan Toney right now does actually make it seem as though it could just be a battle here for Osimhen. But I'm pretty sure Osimhen's decided on the Premier League. He's not going to go to Bayern because they got Harry Kane. He's not going to go to Real Madrid because they've wanted Mbappe since before Mbappe was bloody born. So it could be Liverpool, who knows. I think Osimhen's coming to Chelsea, you know. I really, really do. I've just got this sneak little feeling. I don't know if that is just the positivity inside me after a 6-1 Chelsea win. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments down below. Your thoughts on what I've said today about Broja, Mudryk, Gallagher, and your thoughts on the game last night. And also watch the 6 things we learned. Link in the description, as well as the Just a Couple of G's new YouTube channel. There won't be uploads anymore on George Benson Travel. The channel is dead. The algorithm's cooking me. So there's a new one. The vlogs are coming there. Come on, you Blues.